One, you can accept it, or two, you can change it. I love that kind of stuff because what that does, it builds the camaraderie, it builds the culture, and it builds trust. They have a lot of repetition. They're involved with different pieces of the organization, the business, the team in general. All right. Happy Friday. Good to see everyone. It's 10 o'clock Eastern time, so we're going to get things rocking. Got a lot of content today around team building. I'm excited to share with you all. I'll tell you, if you haven't got a chance to join us and subscribe to the Clear channel, KLEAR channel, please go to YouTube, type in KLEAR channel. We're over 1,400 subscribers. I remember not too long ago when there was one, me. And so I'm excited that we've grown the channel to where it's at. I'm even more excited about the people we've been able to bring onto the channel to fulfill our mission of changing the world one leader at a time. And we have some great people that are coming in. Unfortunately, our guest that was supposed to be on today had to reschedule for next week. But I'm super pumped. The next couple of weeks, we're going to get a few entrepreneurs on that are some absolute studs in their industry. So, but today I want to talk about team building and team awareness, and what it means to making an impact. I was reading this morning in my journal, and this morning I was reading. I have a book that it's called The Daily Dad. It has short little stories and every day, and I tend to read a few days of it at a time because I just don't read one day. It's little short stories. And this morning it was talking about how children, and again, I'm a dad, I have two boys, how children, you got to really pay attention to what they're doing and not what they're saying. And so my first tip when it comes to team building and really parenting or whatever it is, if you interact with people, is to be aware of a saying that I've always talked about is the actions speak so loudly we can't hear what you're saying. And when it comes to parenting, it really hit my heart this morning. It really hit me strong. And the story was around, hey, children, they're 2, 3, 4 years old. They can't speak. They don't have the vocabulary. They don't have the ability to share how they're feeling. And they actually show how they're feeling. They show kind of where they're at in their mind and in their energy with how they're interacting with other people. And this week was kind of neat. I had a chance to go spend a day and a half at camp, YMCA camp, with my oldest and 50 other 10-year-olds running around YMCA with a couple other parents, a couple other chaperones. And it's very interesting to see the dynamics of children. And that's why maybe it hit me so hard this morning is because I just got done watching a bunch of kids and how they interact with their peers and how they interact with the chaperones and also the YMCA personnel. But with that being said, when you're team building, it's the same thing, right? So you got to have this awareness. So the key is, again, looking outside of yourself, which is hard if you're in your 20s. It's hard if you're young, because most people like myself in my 20s were very selfish, was self-fulfilling. And having that awareness, you're looking at these nonverbal skills. You're looking at these, unconscious conversations that are going on. And so my question to you, if you are team building, you are leading, is asking yourself, when you interact with someone, what is the unconscious message they are giving you? What are they putting out into the world? What are they putting into the conversation that you're having with them? And what, not what they're saying, is what is happening, inside. And I'll tell you that I had a chance again to meet Alan Stein. This guy is an incredible basketball fanatic, and he's an author now, coach. And he told some stories about Coach K, and he told some stories about Steph Curry, and the unconscious messages that they gave him, and they gave other basketball players when they are in the middle of driving their careers. And he told me about Steph Curry. And kind of the time he had a chance to interact with Steph and watch him in practice. But there was this thing Steph used to do where Steph talked about before leaving practice every day, he had to swish. For you guys who know basketball, you know what that means. He had to swish 5 shots from the 3-point line. Swish 5 shots. And he would not leave the gym until he did that. He demanded excellence from himself to before he left the gym. And so the message for anyone around him as a leader, right, that unconscious message he was giving his teammates was he demanded excellence out of himself. And there's stories about Kobe Bryant and when he was in the gym and he'd be working out, and there's, some people used to say he's a ball hog. Kobe's like, a ball hog? No, I don't want to pass you the ball in the game because I know what you do when nobody's watching. I know what you do in the gym. I don't want to pass you the ball. You don't deserve the basketball based on how you work, right? And it's that unconscious message. And so again, and first little message today is about your own awareness about yourself and what you're putting out there. And then also in a leadership capacity, the second thing is being aware of what others are putting out into the world and what are they really telling you. And if you have that awareness around people, then you can possibly connect with them. Hopefully you take time to build a relationship, or I call it something that the emotional bank account. You start putting deposits in the emotional bank account, and then you build an incredible relationship. And then at times when you got to have a conversation, you got to maybe, hey, bring some awareness for them, and that they can't see because you can't see yourself, right? In the middle of a game, you don't even see sometimes what you look like hearing your own voice, right? It just seems so weird sometimes. Like, oh, I sound like that. But when you're able to do that and you able to get feedback again, thinking about that unconscious message is huge. So number one point about team building, team awareness is ask yourself, what are the nonverbals? What kind of message are you putting out there as a leader? If you are leading people, you are building a team, understand that they are also putting some messages out there. It's not what they're saying, it's what are they doing. And that'll help you maybe gain some ground in leadership. And keep in mind, when you're coaching and you're looking to drive behavior, you got to keep things simple. There's an old saying in business that complexity undermines execution. Complexity undermines execution. So the more simple that you have certain processes, simple coaching techniques, and again, a training capacity, whenever I've trained someone and whether it's out in sales or just in leadership, I just ask, hey, what's one thing I can help you improve on today? And it could be fundamentals as far as confidence. It could be a certain type of the process, a certain piece of the process in sales. But knock out that one thing, and then they'll gain confidence and they'll be able to start tackling the other things. And then when it comes to leadership in business, second tip today in regards to teams and team building and organizational structure is there's two ways I look at things. When things are happening on a team, there's two things you can do as a leader and as a teammate, and potentially as someone who's building a team. One, you can accept it, or two, you can change it. So what I mean by that, and this comes with like behaviors of an organization, this comes with like the identity of a team, the identity of your team, the identity of people that you're looking to develop, the crew that you're looking to put together, the business that you're looking to build, the youth sports team that you're looking to develop, like I love doing in some of my free time. But you either accept the way things are or you start changing them. And, and I'll tell you, it's very hard to stand up for yourself and for things that you believe are right. There's ways to communicate with leadership. Maybe others have been around this organization longer. There's ways to communicate, peer to peer to make a difference. And there's ways to communicate for someone who is reporting to you. Right. These are all different conversations you got to learn over time. And I'll tell you, I used to get really frustrated, working with high level leadership executives in business that had years of experience and big degrees and from Ivy League schools. And they're extremely confident, and learning how to interact with these people and learning how to stand your ground and being polite, but, interacting and making change. These are all things that are very difficult. But when you're team building, the neat thing about a leader, and the neat thing about if you get empowered to be responsible for a group of people, I would ask yourself, how do I want to make this my own? What is my team identity? What do we want to be known for as a crew, as an organization? Now, I know for me, as I've built my organization and my business over the last 20 years or so, I demand excellence. I demand that we take care of the details, like being on time, little things. I demand that we, look the part. And these are just things that I do my best to exemplify. But remember that the behaviors of an organization, behaviors of your team, you're either going to accept the way things are, or you're going to make some changes, and you're going to change it yourself. And then the last thing I want to give you guys today in regards to leadership is how to look at a team. When I look at a group of people, understanding that there's different people in different phases of their own development on a team. And again, I can just share with you on the little soccer team that I help coach. There's some players like my son that's been playing since 4 or 5 years old, and they obviously have a little more tenure, a little more experience. There's some players that this is literally their first year at 10 years old that they're playing on a competitive team. They're playing on a club team, right? And they've never had this level of pressure. And so they react, and they don't know how to react to, coaches, parents, referees, how to react to, if they're 10 years old. There's a kid that got a yellow card over the weekend for being a little dirty. How do these all emotions, right? And so when I look at a team, I put them in 3 different buckets. All right. The first, and just again, this is just high level, just how to think about it, like a 1, 2, 3, or an A, B, C, however you want to do it, right? Or maybe it's you name these 3 different groups, whatever you want to do. But the third bucket, like the C bucket, in my eyes, is the new people on the crew, the new people in the organization, the new people on the soccer field when it comes to the kids. And then these are people that, the keys are building really good relationships with them. It's actually leaning into them more than they may be leaning into whatever you're doing. It's with that relationship, with that time spent, once that new person believes in you as a leader, believes in you as a human being and your example and hanging out with you, then they're going to be more open to learning the skills they have to learn to grow at whatever role they're in, right? So the new staff, it's all about relationship. And I know in our organization, in our business, we have things like office nights, we have things like crew nights, we have different events that we do. There's some staff I noticed today that was in our group chat. They're working out together, things like they're just building relationships. I love that kind of stuff, because what that does, it builds a camaraderie, it builds the culture, and it builds trust. And then when it comes to work, then that leadership is able to make an impact on that new person. But the first bucket is a new person. Got to give them a lot of direction oftentimes. And hey, you got to do this. You have to do that. These are the times of the training. These are the things. This is the attire. You got to give a lot of direction oftentimes to new people, because they don't know what they don't know, right? And so with a high level leader, they're going to know, being new, when you give direction to someone, just like in a sales process, when you give direction to someone, they feel support because they know they're being taken, hey, do this, do that, and they feel good about it. Although it's hard to give direction to people sometimes, but that new person will then fill in and do what they got to do to get things down. So that's the first group. It's the C group, or the third group. The second group is, in my opinion, in a team or an organization, is the group of people that need skills. They need skills, right? So they're up and comers. These are people that are, building some skill sets. If it's in our organization, in the sales, they're starting to gain some confidence. They got a certain level of confidence, of consistency. I'm sorry. And they're consistently performing. They're not a roller coaster in performance. Again, they're starting to build some habits, but they're starting to get things down. And this group of people, we're starting to give them, chances to learn multiple skills. We're starting to teach them how to be a trainer. There's an old saying that teaching is learning twice. So we want to get them basic training opportunities. So they, again, build their confidence, and their confidence built in a training capacity will help them do better in a sales capacity. But this skills group in a leadership role, that's why it's so important as you strategize in your business, strategize your crew, literally thinking week over week and putting it on paper and saying, okay, this person, and this person needs A, B, C. They need, I don't know, training skills. They need skills in this piece of the sales process. And then taking those skills that they need and then putting it on a calendar, putting it on a training and on a schedule so you can attack this for your team. And then also as they gain confidence, if they have, a certain area, if they're good at the sales and there's new staff that need to learn a piece of sales, it's a great opportunity to empower this group, this B group, this second group, to then start teaching some of the new staff. Again, small responsibility, not high level responsibility, just small opportunities to gain little wins, to be empowered. What that tells the person, the unconscious conversation you have with someone in your team when you empower them to be a part of the process, is that you trust them and that you appreciate them. And then you can step back and you can coach and mentor and support. And then you're both growing at the same time. But this group is all about figuring out what is the strategy, because there's an absolute strategy to develop a team and to coach a team to help get ahead. So the B group is the skills group. Again, planning is huge. If you're the type of leader that's just kind of showing up week over week, and you have someone on your team and it's just like, oh, they're here, and there's no strategy to coach and to develop the people on your team, just know that you're going to get capped out on the amount of responsibilities you have in business, and your crew and your team's not going to grow like you want it to, if that's what you're interested in. And then last but not least, the A group, in my opinion, the core group of an office. This is a group, in my opinion, you want to be in. This is a group that, they have a lot of skills. They're not perfect at everything, but they are high level. Their skills are trained at a high level. They've a lot of, confidence. They have a lot of repetition. They're involved with different pieces of the organization, the business, the team in general. They're normally the ones that are in an office environment or empowered to make a lot of the high level decisions. They're included in a lot of the decisions that are made in a business and an organization and a company. This is the board members or the board of trustees. I know I was brought on to the best and brightest companies as a board member recently. There's about 8 of us on this board that make decisions for the entire Detroit metro market when it comes to the best and brightest companies and the impact that they make on the community. But this is just the core group. This is the decision makers of a business, and I'll tell you, it's also in a business the ones that have the most fun. They're the ones that travel the most. They're the ones that typically are at all the award ceremonies. They're the ones that get a chance to do cool things and go to sporting events and everything else. But in any business, anywhere, these are the captains of the youth soccer team, right? This is a core group of players that the coaches, kind of talk to, and they give them insight of how people are feeling among their peers. And so the coaching group can make decisions to support people. But when you look at your team, an A player, a B player, a C player, or first team, second team, third team, whatever it is, just know that that'll help you kind of organize your thoughts, right, on how to attack things and how to look at your crew and how to move forward. But the A group by far is the most bought into to whatever team, organization, or opportunity you have. They're also the ones that get the most out of an organization or an opportunity. And so, that was kind of point number 2, is thinking about your team and kind of figuring out the strategy of development, the strategy of who is who. And I do this in my business. I do this in my office pretty regularly. I kind of look at the organization and I just kind of know based on where people are at, if they're an A or B or C. And I also attack the business in a similar way. And the last thing I will share with you in regards to team building and empowering leadership and growing the next generation is this final point, a little quote that a buddy of mine, Adam, gave me. And the quote is, "The best you will ever see from someone is when they are with you." The best you will ever see of someone is when they are with you. And that really hit home when I was in a meeting with him recently, and I just kind of thought to myself over the years that I've been coaching and consulting and mentoring people, and the a buddy of mine also said to me a few months back, you have to own 50% of the relationship, and I own 100% of my 50%, right? The other individual and whatever business relationship, social relationship, whatever, they have to own their 50% as well. And so when as a coach, one of the hardest things, I had this conversation recently with someone, one of the hardest things to realize is they have to decide, right? As a student, or a mentee, or whatever, or a teammate, is the other individual has to decide to take actions on what they want. It's not what you want for them; it's what they want for themselves. And obviously, in a perfect world, they'll align with whatever future and whatever organizational goals you have, or team goals you have, or whatever. But that's really hard to realize. Is not everyone is going to make the decisions that you think they should make. And I'll tell you, in the world of business and opportunity, as I've gotten a bit older, and there's a lot of people in my 20s that were starting their careers out of college and making their choices, and even people in the industry that I'm in. When I started in this thing in sales and kind of get my feet wet, there's a lot of other people that, in my opinion, were a lot more talented than me. And a lot more, they had a lot more backgrounds in schooling and whatever. But I think one of the small reasons why I've had a decent career is I just kind of keep my head down. I just keep working. I've been knocked down just like the best of them. And I've stayed loyal to those who were loyal to me before I had anything. And I think that's been a huge thing for me. So I wanted to share with you guys, just remember, in a leadership role, as you're training people, the best you will ever see of someone is when they are with you. And hopefully that example you show them, that example that you set, is when they do go off on their own. They do go off and do their own thing, maybe in a sales capacity or in a management capacity or whatever, that example that you showed them is a good one for them to then take it on to their own lives and their own careers. So that's what I have for you guys today. A couple quick tips around team building. First one, again, around awareness, around those nonverbals, kind of how you're showing up in your experience, not just for you as a leader, but also how your others are showing up in a coaching capacity. And then secondly, how to look at your team. And again, if you want to make changes, or you're going to accept things in a team capacity, and then how to kind of, organize your thoughts when it comes to strategy. And then lastly, just know that you have to own your part of the relationship. And I know great people want to win. Great people yearn discipline. They want to succeed. And bottom line, I think everyone that wants this, and no matter what they do, and I see people every day at the gym. I see people at different capacities, just kind of letting people in, even trainers. Everyone has a why somewhere inside of why they do what they do, no matter what it is. Most of the time, it has to do with family and coming through for people they love, or just coming through for themselves. So tap into that, and you'll be able to make an impact on others. So thanks for jumping on today. Happy Friday. Let's continue to change the world one leader at a time. Looking forward to getting these new guests on in the next few weeks. But you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much.